Just last month, Governor Nasser El-Rufai of Kaduna State was judged as the best governor, the Nigerian governor of the month, based on a comparative analysis of the governor's performance in the country. And this, of course, came from the center. Excuse me, I have something in my throat. There we go. SAPAS, of course, who had came up with the analysis. But this morning, we're going to be continuing our discussions with them on this issue, appraising the governors in Nigeria. There's a new governor of the month. You have to stick around to make sure you find out who that is. But other issues concerning that as well, the CGPI, which is the SAPAS Governor's Performance Index. And that is our discussion and our top story. So let's welcome our guests into the studio. We have Dr. Anthony Kila with us this morning, as well as Olumuyiwa Ayola. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you. So both of them, of course, are from the center, and we will be discussing these issues as it affects the issue of governance in Nigeria. So I think the first question I would ask is that El-Rufai now has been last month's Nigerian governor of the month, and there is a new governor who has taken that title. So who is it?
Yeah, for the month ending on July 29th, the governor of the month is Nyesom Wike of Rivers State.
So would you judge him to have been better than El-Rufai, or is it just based on the normal index of the things you look at in a month?
Well, it is the normal index. I mean, we set out the variables even before we approach who the governors are at all. And it's clearly in the last 30 days who has performed better in those specific areas that we're looking at.
So let's talk about these variables, because Nigerians, we've heard of appraisals, everybody on-the-job performance appraisals. We've had some of them, and you hear about it a lot. We heard about it also under the tenure of President Goodluck Jonathan in terms of appraising the ministers in his cabinet. What are the indexes? What are the terms that you're looking at for judging someone to be a good and effective governor?
Well, for 60 days in office, we're looking at some core parameters of governance. In this case, we're looking at readiness for office, education, which is key to development, innovation, which is crucial at a time when revenues are dwindling. So somebody has to think of alternative ways to run the country. Security, which is probably one of the first things anybody should do when you're in charge. Employment, given the level of unemployment we have, and some economic indicators that will foster development and prosperity in the head. These are foundation period for the new government. But the key things are very clear and they need to be done. If you start getting it wrong now, chances are things will get tougher.
Okay,
yes.
okay, go on. Sorry.
I mean, but luckily there are things that you can still correct. Hence we do it, we do this close monitoring, these 30 days things. So it's a chance to see what's going well and what needs to be corrected on time, not later.
Okay, in also judging best performances, do we also look at worst performances as well?
Well, yes, it comes automatically. This thing is a mathematical thing, and like every calculation that is done with comparison, you're not really out there looking for the best of the worst. But when you list people from 1 to 36, it is obvious that somebody's first and somebody's last.
So let me ask, who's last? Who's last based on the comparative analysis? Who is last?
Or who has least votes?
Yes, let's rephrase one. Least votes.
Okay, who has the least votes?
He's the governor of Adamawa State.
Governor of Adamawa State.
Any particular, of course with the least votes, but does he seem to be failing F9 in all areas?
He seems to be getting little votes on most states. We should be careful that we word these things. But
exactly, true.
Let us say he seems to be having less votes on one thing. That's correct?
Yeah,
right?
less votes. Let's put it like that.
Now you're mentioning votes. So that seems to mean that the population's opinions or their feelings and reflections on the advancements or the past 30 days of that governor's administration seem to come in. So let's talk about that as well. How do you have the areas in which they're being appraised,
yes,
but who votes or who puts in the data that is analyzed?
Well, what is done is from day one of the month when we start to look at it, we set the parameters. We say this is what we're looking at. And we monitor and observe their actions and their utterances throughout that period. So the idea is we have this idea to say that governors of Nigeria are paid per day. So we say, what have they done today to justify their pay? And we look at that, in terms of everything. Of course, if you wake up 30 and 20 out of the 30 days, what you're doing is visiting people. That doesn't really help your citizens. So you get low votes on there. But if you wake up and you go constructing roads or assuring people that new policies will be made, or visiting victims. Those are things that will help your citizen and hence your vote. Exactly, very tangible things.
Okay, here I have a pro-democracy group, the League of Voters in Nigeria, has commended 5 governors, saying that they are calling them their own governors of the season, and this would be the governors of Benue, Kaduna, Rivers, Kano, and Sokoto. Do you agree?
I think it's not far from it.
Well, the truth of the matter is actually what we have. For example, for the month, the winner is on Wike, like I said, with 70%.
That's okay.
Yeah. Now, second is Aminu Tambuwal, the Sokoto State Governor, and for him, one of the things that worked for him was that during the month, he actually said he was going to send a bill to the State of Assembly to criminalize not sending your child to school. We feel that is commendable, and we actually wanted to commend him for that. And it's one of the things that worked for him. So when you look at that, there's little difference from what we've done and what
they're doing. But now you made mention of the fact that he said, because we know that one of the things that irks Nigerians is the promises that are given, whether on the campaign trail or even when you're in office, and the lack of action taken on those things. So how do you also add that into it? Because if you're also basing some performance on what he said he's going to do, what happens the next month?
That's a very clear thing. You're given a period of time, which we factor in period of legislature, time for him to implement the policies. If he doesn't do what he said today, it's going to count against him so badly in the next judgment, because that will take him to a minus, because that means he says he's not a doer. But for now, all he can do is say, and because he has said something very meaningful. And you need to put that into context. Sokoto State, where he is with all the battle of education.
What the
it's
issues,
a bold
specific
step,
issues are,
yes. It shows he understands what the issues are, and he has the courage to address it. So that should be taken into cognizance and appreciated, shall we say.
So what's the average score for governors in Nigeria? We have 36 governors plus the FCT head. So what is the average? What are we looking at?
I think a lot of people
50%?
So no, the average is not very straightforward. A lot of people are below that. Most people are around 50 to 52. It's not a very golden period. I mean, they would argue that because they're just starting, but that argument is weak to me, because we do factor in that the starting period. There is actually a column for that, which is called readiness for office.
Yes.
So, it's a very lame argument, but, it's understandable, it is lame. The votes of 30, 32, I see here, 38, 36, so it's around there, and there's a lot of 40.
Who scored, I'm curious, who scored 32%?
Who scored 32%? Well, 30, you've had 30, which is Adamawa State. So it's not that bad.
Which state?
The Adamawa State.
Adamawa State was 30, yes.
Bottom.
32 is Delta State.
Woo, my fine Yokowa.
Yeah.
My governor.
For example, for Dr. Ifeanyi Okonwa, the truth of the matter is when you find in readiness for office, actually did quite okay because when we look at readiness for office, one of the other things we're looking at is your ability to promptly set up your cabinet so that you can hit the ground running. But one other thing that works against is if, for example, the governor of Abia State has 24 commissioners, we feel in this era of building revenue, there's nothing a small state like Abia State doing with 24 commissioners. So even when you promptly set up your cabinet, we're also looking at the number of commissioners, because of course all of them are going to have advisors, special assistants, and all of that, PAs.
Permanent secretaries, does that one also influence appointing of permanent secretaries? Because we saw today in the news that Akinwumi Ambode has appointed about 19.
No, not necessarily. Permanent secretaries are career civil servants.
Okay,
what will work for you is, for example, what the governor of Kaduna State did by reducing the number of ministries from 20-something to 13. Of course, that would reduce. That means you just have to have 13 permanent secretaries. But permanent secretaries are just career civil servants, so that shouldn't count.
Now, I'm interested in something you made mention of with one of the governors in terms of readiness to hit the ground running. Now, we're looking at this. This is in its second month now, as you said, ending July 20th, I believe. 29. What about expanding this? There is expectation, of course, where we've heard reports. We don't know if it's a rumor, but as it looks right now, the president may not or is not appointing a cabinet till September. What do you think that says about his readiness for office?
If the president was on this comparison table, he wouldn't score very well on readiness for office. There's no milder way to put it. So we have to be blunt about this. He was scored low, but luckily for him, he's not. And it's not simply because to get a good comparison and index, you need to judge people against their peers, because he's the only president. You can't really judge him against other presidents.
Would it be possible to judge him against past administrations in the same time frame?
You
within
could.
6 months of getting into the office, within 1 year of getting into office?
Well, you could. It's a straightforward thing. You could do that. The downside of that, from a very scholarly point of view, is that there are social historical contrasts that are different.
True.
Different times.
One of the things about social science is that you can't really replay events.
True.
Because it's not exactly
It never happens.
the same. It
the
never
same.
We have
happens.
different challenges
The
that we're
current,
facing now.
issue with the Naira
Yes.
is not one that the predecessor necessarily
Necessarily
faced at the
faced.
same
Yes.
time. That's very true.
But that said, you could still, just look at it and say, what did somebody do 4 years ago, 50 years ago? Those sets are there.
But speaking of judging people against their peers,
Yes.
what is the thing that Nyesom Wike did that is totally different, that stood him out from the rest of the governors?
Yeah, okay, for example, from the day he was sworn in as governor, and you just understand that the judiciary in Rivers State has been comatose for over a year.
True.
One of the analysis I did was that imagine a state not having a governor for over a year. Can you even imagine that? But the judiciary was without a head for over 1 year, and everything was comatose. There were people awaiting trials and all of that. And the day he got to power, in fact, the person that swore him in has coming from the chief judge of Bayelsa State has coming to swear him in. And the day he was sworn in, he appointed a new CJ. He not only did that, within the week when he got in, he contracted Julius Berger and CCEC, that's his China Civil Engineering Construction Company, to fix all the roads in Port Harcourt. It's called the Operation Zero potholes in rivers. And not just that alone, there's a federal government road in Rivers State right now that is started building, and it's not waiting for the federal government to do it. If you read the full report, what we actually said is like a man possessed wanting to do so much. I mean, that was the way we put the analysis.
And we did advise him, not to lose track, not to get derailed by trying to do so many things at the same time. He seems to think the campaign is still going on, and the campaign is based on action.
But isn't that good for us? Isn't that good for the deliverance of democracy and dividends?
It's all fantastic. We call these very healthy competitions. We hope people see actually what other people are doing and try to beat them. That's the whole joy of a consolidated democracy, where people compete against each other. State versus state, party versus party. That's the whole idea.
My question now is, because you said you've spoken to him or you advised him, how is this handed over to the governors? This report card, basically, as it is, how is it given?
How is it handed to them? Well, it's in the dailies. It's on TV shows like yours, which I'm sure all governors watch. It's on the website, cgpi.com.ng. We try as much as possible to avoid direct contact with the people we assess.
Why not?
Because we don't want them to influence anything.
Okay.
So it's all factual. It's all about fact. There is no touchy-feely moment in this kind of thing. So it's numbers, it's pure fact, and goodbye. The moment you start having personal relationship, then you get explanations. And sometimes people get carried away on the why instead of the what. When people don't do things, they tell you the why, and you're leaving out the what. We're focusing on the what.
Okay, before we get out, I'm curious. Ralph Beshola has been making promises about paying backlog of salaries, and I know what you said about not being able to deliver on promises, how it affects their performance. So I'm curious to know his performance.
How's Beshola done? Yes. He's on 54%.
So he's mid-table.
He's mid-table,
Okay.
yes.
He's done better than last month.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of my final questions for you also is, as we're looking at this, as you said, it's out there in the public sphere. We don't know how many of them or their teams will take personal initiative to find out, but things are changing. We can all see that democracy and the way governance is happening in Nigeria is changing. But aside from that, do you expect, as this picks up steam, gathers publicity, do you expect to see like the issues that were identified as making somebody to get 30% instead of getting to mid-table? Do you expect to see those issues addressed over time, and these people and the tables fluctuate?
Oh yes, we do. That's one of the main reasons of this initiative, is actually so that people can see what they're doing in real time as they go on. Rather than wait for a year or two where they have less time to do it and a lot has gone wrong. If we do it this way and people look at it, you got 30 days to see what you've done and what you can improve. Most things can be corrected in that short span of time.
Now, you know that when we had Governor Fashola here, many people would expect someone like him would continuously be in the top 5 or the top 10.
Yeah.
And in any class, when we were all in school, we all had those EFICO students who were always taking top 1, 2, 3. Is there any expectation that there might be governors who you consistently see in the top ranking? And who may they be if you've started looking at that?
We try to avoid expectations. Every day is a new day. We just look at it, without even thinking who's there. We try to sort of suspend our judgment, as they say, in that moment, and suspend our attachment to anybody. It's a number thing. It's not human. It's a very number thing. It's not touchy-feely at all. It really doesn't matter to us.
That means we were expecting now by the 28th of August, another one will come.
Another will come out.
And then we'll have you back again to look at it. Interesting.
All right. So is there a website where Nigerians can go and check it out, look at the methodology, look at the issues, and the things that you're using to raise?
Yes, it is. It is CGPI.
cgpi.com.ng.
cgpi.com.ng.
I hope these governors, they are also privy to this information that you're sharing.
Yes, they are. We send it. They're citizens. Albeit paid citizens, but they are citizens. They have the right information and the duty to perform their jobs.
All right. So we have to say a very big thank you again to Dr. Anthony Kila, who is the director and the chair. He's the director for the Center for International Advanced and Professional Studies, and he's the chair for the CIAPS Governor's Performance Index, as well as Olumuyiwa Ayola, who's the CGPI coordinator. Every month they are releasing a ranking, a performance analysis or appraisal of governors here in Nigeria, kicked off with Governor El Rufai of Kaduna State being the first one adjudged as the Nigerian Governor of the Month. And this month, or rather for July, it was Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. So, of course, next month another one will come. Go to the website, check it out. Let them know what you think and also rate your governor. That's how we can all make sure our involvement in governance and democracy gets dividends for us all. We're going to take a quick time out. Good Morning Nigeria continues right after this.
So, did you like what you just saw? I know you did. It's very simple. If you want to see more, just subscribe to our channel right now.